this generation needs to be more patient. Like, we need to not look at, what is going on around us, and understand that things take time. You might not be able to afford a BMW today, but maybe next year or in the next 3 years, you could be able to afford it. It's important to have a financial planner. Those are the people that talk about emergency funds, about the life cover, all those things. So we need to be educated. Like, see someone from Liberty, from Old Mutual, try and find a financial planner. Usually their consultations, they don't charge you like for the first consultation. You just ask them advice, and they open your eyes towards what is there and what you need to do to protect yourself financially. Every business and every artist and brand and whatever, influencers and stuff, they need to have an accountant. They need to have a professional that will look into their books, that will manage their books, and also advise them what to do and what not to do. Live underneath your means. Don't live over your means. So how will you even know that you are living above your means? It's because you won't know if you don't do a budget.
The thing with black tax, remember when you are actually studying to be a professional, you get a certain salary. And then that particular salary is a determiner of where you're gonna live. You need a place to stay.
Sure.
Suppose in Kulela, Etembis, I find a job in Polokwane. I must find a place to stay. I must be able to buy myself food. Sometimes, like, it's a job that requires me to have a car, not an expensive car, but a basic car. So it's expenses that like are there. You're not having those expenses for fun. Like, it's essentials for you, you understand? And then before that, before I can even mention other things that are actually like important for you, there's expectations. You earning, suppose, 10K, and then in that 10K, the moment they know, there's a certain portion that is actually money that is you must give or share with the family.
Why
Can
are they
I answer
finding
the
out?
question also?
Sure.
I think that it becomes a problem when you have to sacrifice certain things where there were basic things for you, and now you have to now not have those things because you have to take care of your family. And also, another thing is that people also feel entitled to your money.
Yes.
That's where the problem is. They feel very entitled to your money, and sometimes the demand even increases because we're now sharp, or that's what they see. They don't know your pocket, but because you have a car and you have a place where you stay and everything, they assume that you have money. So they just, feel very entitled and demand a lot. That's when it hits your mental health.
Yeah.
Because now you have to take out from your own things. Maybe now you have children, you can't even do the things that you wanted to do for your children. And remember also, we are individuals. Just because they raise me doesn't mean that I don't have my own desires and goals and dreams that I set for myself for the future. And now I have to sacrifice those things so that I can take care of them. But also, they are taking so much from me. So I think that's where the problem is.
Yeah. And
So,
I can't even start like a family, as she's saying. Never mind the family part. I can't have a girlfriend because suppose I'm earning that amount of money, I do my essentials, right? And then after having to do those essentials, they demand an X amount of money. How will I be able to take you out to even KFC because my life? Do you understand? So like self-care is not regarded when black tax is there. You can't have leisure. Leisure is good, and it's good for your mental health. It's important for your mental health, you understand? So you at least owe yourself that leisure time. Go and watch a movie, nyana, for you to have that time to relax, and enjoy. You won't have that, and then you basically, with the black text, it's a cycle of you being miserable in a way because you have to give, you're not getting anything. And then obviously there's entitlement, as you mentioned, to say we are entitled. Then you're getting entitlement from cousins, uncles, to say, hey, when you were in varsity, I bought you airtime, when you were growing up, this is what we've done for you. You need to pay back, and you find that like maybe there's 10 cousins and uncles that are there, and also your own immediate family, meaning your mother and father. They were like, hey, we want this and this and that, and then it takes a toll on your mental health. Chances of you being depressed, how high?
Quite high.
And I also want to add that sometimes people end up in debt just so that they can please their parents, they can please those people that are looking up to them. So it's not healthy to a certain extent. Yeah.
To be fair though, we can't only blame that, right? Like getting into debt on just black tax. I'm going to come back to why I'm saying that, right? I just want to find out your opinion based on just the current circumstances and our generation now. Do you think we are financially savvy?
I don't think so. To answer your question, I don't think so. I think when it comes to finances, people are not comfortable to talk about finances.
Yeah.
And we are actually the generation that should actually change things, because we saw what our parents went through or what we went through during our parents' times, and try to change that. So I don't think people are financially savvy at where we are, because just talking about finances, people cringe at that topic. I've also, from my experience working with finance, I've tried to reach out to people and be like, okay, there's sessions that we can have where we can learn. I literally hosted, I think, about 2 or 3 budget parties, but I don't have more than 10 people attending. So I've tried to make it a fun thing. I call it the budget party, but people don't even come. I'm like, bring your popcorn, bring your drinks, come together. Let's talk about finances. Let's talk about budgeting. How can we go about it? And budgeting is actually the first point of reference in terms of you managing your finances. So if people can't even come to a budget party where I'm trying to make it fun, then people are not open to it. So yeah.
And with that being said, I'm going to welcome you guys to our episode today, where we will be talking about financial well-being. And today I'm joined by Lesego, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, and we're going to go right back into the topic. Hi, Lesego.
Hi.
How are you, girl?
I'm good, thanks.
I'm loving
you?
the two-piece.
Thank
It's
you.
giving.
Thank you.
So can you just introduce yourself for our viewers?
Okay. Hi, my name is Lesego Serakwana, and I am an accountant. I run an accounting firm. I am currently based in Pretoria, but I help people all around South Africa in terms of their finances, personal and business.
Okay, so you are the right person for this conversation, right? So my first question is going to be, what is financial well-being? Keeping in mind social media, keeping in mind our families, keeping in mind our aspirations, where we want to live, and keeping in mind what people think of us. Because a lot of us, now I'm going to say us because I'm part of the generation, we equate financial well-being to how people perceive us. If I drive a BM, G-Wagon, you know, if I'm flexing on the internet, then I'm financially well, you know. But what is financial well-being? How do you know that you are financially doing okay?
When you ask me that question, what comes to my mind is like same as physical health and physical wellness. For you to be fit and to be healthy, you need to be on a diet. You need to eat healthy. You need to drink your water. You need to exercise. So the same way with your finances, you need to do the necessary thing. Have commitment towards you budgeting, towards you planning your finances and everything. So you need to have a diet for your finances. Budget and set yourself, this is how much I'm going to spend on a certain expense, and so forth and so forth. So we need to be financially aware. Also, you need to commit to say, I'm going to learn about my finances and I want to do better. So that's what comes to my mind when you ask me what is financial wellness. It's about you being in a place where you are very comfortable with your finances, and you're in a healthy, your finances are healthy. You're not having too much debt or too much of something and then too much taxes or something like that, but you are having a balance in terms of your finances. So yeah.
And I want to also ask, given everything that you said, like equating it to taking care of your body and taking care of your mind and your emotions and doing practices, basically
Yeah.
healthy practices that promote that, right? Like what you said, gymming, dieting, all of that.
Yeah.
Does financial issues or do financial issues affect mental well-being?
I think a lot of things are surrounded by finances, like everything that you need. For us to have this podcast, you guys needed to invest some money in order for it to run, to buy, to even communicate with a friend, or you need Wi-Fi, you need data. All of those things require money. So much surrounds money. So if your finances are not proper, it's definitely going to frustrate you. It's definitely not going to be a very nice thing to live with when your finances are not proper. So I think yes. Yeah.
And before we get into budgeting, because I'm
Okay.
very interested about your budget parties, and I really think our viewers would love, myself as well,
Yeah.
would love to learn how to budget,
Yeah.
right? Because we have those apps here, and you kind of try,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
lose track, and then do you think money buys happiness? I know a lot of you guys are saying yes.
It does.
I think it does. Honestly.
Hi, guys.
Because
Love,
when
joy,
you
peace.
have financial freedom, you can do so much. Like, we are so limited because you don't have money. How many things do you think about and you're like, I want to do this, but the thing that's holding you from doing that is money.
Literally.
I think to an extent it does. But it also depends on how you define happiness. You can have happiness when you're not a millionaire or a billionaire. But I think money does give you a lot of freedom where you will be happier as a person. So yeah.
I think it's more about what it gives you access to,
Yes.
from what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, guys, money does buy happiness. So that's why we're going to learn about how to use our money wisely. Okay. So I heard you talking about having your own budget parties, right?
Yes.
And it sounds like a very interesting concept. So where did it start? Where did you see the gap? When did you see the gap? And is there a story that actually informed the decision to put that together?
Yeah, so growing up, my mom was a teacher, so every time that I needed maybe something extra, maybe to go to movies or something, or clothes or something that I saw, whenever I'd ask her for to get those things, or for money or whatever, she'd always be like, no, dikoloto, I'm still paying my debt at the moment. But I realized that it was sort of limiting us as a family, and this
Sure.
thing didn't, it didn't end. It was always dikoloto. So when I started working, I also saw that, okay, I don't want to be in the same position that my mom was in. So what went wrong? So it took me back to the budget, that you need to plan your finances so that you don't find yourself in a situation where you are uncomfortable, you are restricted, and things are not flowing. So we need to try and not live the same way our parents lived, but we need to
Sure.
do better. So to change that, I wanted to do something that other people like don't want to find themselves in situations where the budget is not being done and everything. So, and some of my clients were also having such problems, and when they came to me, I saw that there is a gap for budgets to be done, but people are not comfortable doing budgets. People are not comfortable talking about finances. So I tried to make it fun, that bring your popcorn, bring your drinks, and let's have a budget party. Let's do it corporately, so that you're not in your corner there and cringing because you spent too much at the club, or you went out with friends or something, and then you spend too much. But when we do it together, we actually are able to discuss and be like, oh, you also in that situation. And so that's why I came up with that concept of having a budget party, so that people can be together and have fun while doing the budgets.
I think, you know what? Go invite me to that party. I will come, because I think a lot of us genuinely don't know how to budget.
Yeah.
I think, number one, we love going with the flow. If we get a
Yes.
call, yeah, girl, brunch.
Yeah.
Listen, the
True.
answer is say less. Send me the details, So a lot of us don't budget, but I think a lot of us see budgeting as restricting ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But by not budgeting, you're restricting yourself
Yeah.
in the future anyway.
In the long run.
But I think a lot of us as well don't really know what budgeting is. We know that looking at your expenses. But what qualifies as an expense is me going out for a drink, an expense. Like, you know what I mean? So what are the key components of a budget? What does a budget look like?
Okay, so a budget is basically a plan. So the same way that you would plan your day and be like, from 8 I need to start doing this and that. So basically that's what you're doing with your finances. I would say that it's taking control of your finances, because if you go about the day and if you go about the month as it goes and you go with the flow, as you were saying, you find yourself in a situation where you don't know what happened, and now you're left with little, or now you have to go borrow money because you don't have enough to cover the full month. It's because you didn't do the planning. You didn't take control of your finances and be like, okay, for telephone I'm going to spend this much, for transport I'm going to spend this much. So basically budgeting is just putting your money in different pockets of expenses that you incur in a month. So it's basically taking control of your finances and planning for them. So that's what a budget basically is.
So what if my expenses, because I would imagine that your budget should somehow correlate to the income, right? The money
Yes.
that comes in.
Yes.
So what if, because you're saying like having different pockets
Yeah.
that you know you're going to incur in the month.
Yeah.
What if my pockets
Yeah. I'm more
are a little bit over the, because a lot of us are there. A lot of us are
Yeah.
at a point where, guys, we like nice things. Let's just be honest. We like nice things, and social media is not helping, because social media is selling, wealth and exclusivity and
True.
Dio and this. You guys, and we all we're going through a lot as young people.
Yeah.
So how do you block all of that out? Because I would imagine you would need to
Yeah.
in order for this to kind of correlate with this, because a lot of us actually the two don't correlate. So how do you make this correlate with the income?
Yeah, I think the word would be patient. We tend to rush things because your friend is driving a BMW. Now you want to also drive it, and then now your fridge is empty. You're not living a comfortable life. You can't go to Wimpy now when you want to go to Wimpy. Now you're restricted. You have to cook every day. So I think this generation needs to be more patient. Like, we need to not look at what is going on around us, and understand that things take time. You might not be able to afford a BMW today, but maybe next year or in the next 3 years, you could be able to afford it. And they always say that live underneath your means. Don't live over your means. So how will you even know that you are living above your means? It's because you won't know if you don't do a budget. That's why a budget is important, so that you can see. And I usually tell my clients that in order to do a budget, print out 3 months of your bank statement. Go through each and every transaction. See how much is the average that you're paying for bank charges. We tend to ignore those things, but they do take a portion of your money. Check your bank charges, check your parking, those small things that we don't take to heart. They actually count. Your airtime, how much are you spending on a monthly
Do
basis?
those count as part of your budget?
They should. Everything should be
Sure.
included, because you are taking out money. It is taking out money from your pocket. So you need to look into those things. Check for 3 months. Don't just do 1 month, because months are not the same. But if you do 3 months, you're able to get an idea of the overall of what is actually happening in your finances. So yeah, it's very important to do the budget and live below your means. Be patient. See yourself in the next 3 years driving that BM, and plan around it. How can you get the BMW? What do you need to do? Do you need to save up for it? Save up for the deposit so that you can have a lower what do you call it, installment?
Interest, yeah.
And also we need to also plan your things. If you want to drive a BMW or whatever, maybe study now and then get a higher qualification that can get you a higher salary. So also you need to look into what do you want for your life. Don't look at what whoever is doing next door, your neighbor. Just look into what do you want. Just because they're driving a BMW, maybe you can drive a Mac. You don't have to drive a BMW. Also look into
Picanto, guys. Drive your Picanto in
drive your
happiness.
Picanto and be happy and be patient. It's difficult because I understand what you're saying, that it's so hard because there's social media, there's pressure, your parents are looking at you, your friends' parents' children are driving nicer cars, and when are you driving a Picanto? It's very difficult, but try to live beneath your means and plan for whatever that you want. It doesn't have to come tomorrow. In the next couple of years, you can have that nice car that you want, but be patient for now and just plan for the future. So yeah.
So peer pressure doesn't end in the teenage years. It continues to adulthood.
I
eh?
think it's worse in
it,
adulthood.
it continues, hey?
I think it's worse because now, remember, at least in teenagehood, it was just your peers. Now it's your peers, it's your children, it's your parents, it's your grandparents. Everyone is saying, this one is successful. This granddaughter is more successful than that other one.
It becomes a
When I
lot.
go next door, 3 houses down. Bona o rekile G-Wagon, wena o ntse mo sofeng tsaka, your child now wants to go to Wimpy, o setse ka 2 rand, so peer pressure doesn't even start because all his friends are talking about Wimpy. So I actually think teenagers have it a little bit easier, because with us you have pressure from everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
And with you mentioned with the bank charges, I think I'm very much interested in that. Do they change every month?
There's usually one that is like stable, like a monthly bank charges to maintain you having that type of account. And then there's one for usage. Let's say, for instance, you make an immediate payment, they're gonna charge you extra. Then that's the one that varies. So there's a stable one, and then there's variating ones.
Nice. And then you find person like go 100 rand, like you
Wait,
no. Then you have to do that immediate
and
transfer.
2 months like, yo, guys, being an adult is tough. But I think what you were saying is so correct, that comparison really, like, is not just the thief of joy, but it also puts so much pressure on us, because you could honestly live a beautiful life with what you have now and being appreciative of it. And with that being said, is tracking, like what you're saying now, because that is tracking your spending, right? Is that where you start budgeting? Say I want to start budgeting today, but like whatever day today is, and I'm like, listen, I want to start budgeting. I'm serious about my finances. Where do I start? Now 3-month bank statement actually I'm looking at it, I'm like, whoa.
I think it all depends with what are you comfortable. Are you a digital person, or you a traditional person who just wants to take pen and paper and jot it down, or you want an app that will help you to do that? So if, for instance, I like pen and paper because I feel like I want to write it down, or this is how much going where, so I would say have a different categories. Like, start with your bank charges, add them together. Okay, for month 1 they were this much, check them. Check all your income for this month, so forth and so forth, Jan, Feb, and so forth. And then you go to petrol, you check all the petrol transactions. It is a tedious exercise, but it's very necessary, and you'll be more aware. I have this tendency of going to La Parada, every Saturday. It needs to stop. When you think about bathing, or when that friend calls you, be like, and naturally I'm not going, because now you're aware, you know exactly what's going on in your bank account. So you need to be aware. Start doing the categories, different categories, saying, okay, electricity, I thought I was buying 500, but I already 27 or 20, I top up. So those are the things that you need to do. Have the different classifications that are customized for yourself, because that's your spending, it's not your friend's spending. So people differ, per person. So have those different categories, and then add them up, have a summary for each month, and then that's when you'll see a budget. And then also, it's very important to have a buffer in your budget. A buffer is an expense that you put where, in case you might spend extra, because you don't want a budget that's going to limit you.
Like in case I go to La Parada.
In case you go to La Parada, maybe put an extra bafanyana 2,000 or something, in case your mom calls you and wants extra money, or someone is stuck, or you're stuck with petrol or something. So there are incidences where they are going to require you to spend money that is not on your plan. So put a buffer amount so that you are more flexible with your budget. And it's a journey. You won't get it right the first time. Be patient with yourself. Do it for 3 months and get used to it. Not hurry when you do it the first month, then everything will be perfect. You'll be getting it right, and after March ends, when everything you're taking is the same figure, it's not like that. It's a journey. We keep on learning. I also am learning from my own journey. I keep on learning every time. Okay, what can I improve here? What can I do? So give yourself patience when you're doing your budget, and understand that it's a journey. Not everything is going to be perfect. Just because you put 500 for electricity doesn't mean at the end of the day it's going to be that. So after doing your budget and you've done all the calculations, now for Jan and Feb, and you've gotten all the expensive in the different categories, now for March you're going to make an estimation. There's certain things that are fixed, there's certain things that vary month to month. So the fixed things, you can start with them and put them, okay, these ones are the normal ones. Maybe you have a telephone with Telkom, that's 800, that one it's like that. So you start doing those things, you put a summary, okay, and then the ones that vary month to month, then you try to add 50 rand just in case, you rather overestimate your expenses than to underestimate them.
Yeah.
Then the next thing you find yourself like and you don't know what to do. Do that, and then from there on, once you have the data for Jan and Feb, I don't like using December because December is a very different month. People get paid on the 15th and so forth. So
is that what you meant?
So
I was thinking more of it's a whole lifestyle.
So once you have the data for Jan and Feb, you can estimate for March.
Yeah.
And then at the end of March, you go get your actuals and versus your estimates. And then you see what is the difference, what is the trend, what can you do, what are the decisions. Now you're the financial manager of your finances and like, what can I do here? I think I'm spending too much airtime. What are the options that are there that I can use in order to stop spending too much on telephone? Where can I reduce? You start making decisions because now you have seen these trends, So that's how you can go about budgeting. And I would say make it fun, make some popcorn, make some snack, on the side, and tell yourself on Sundays, 15 minutes or 10 minutes, I'm going to check my budget. You can even track it weekly, because monthly can be a lot. Track it with weekly, make decisions. Sometimes there's different I'm gonna talk too much now.
No.
Please, we want to learn.
Sometimes there's this thing where you can withdraw a certain amount of money, and then you tell yourself, okay, this one I'm gonna pay cash, maybe for your petrol, maybe for certain things, groceries and so on, so that you don't overspend. Because that's what you put yourself for the budget. Or okay, my petrol is going to be this much, so let me withdraw it so that I don't overspend. Because when we swipe, sometimes you don't see what I'm sorry for vernac.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. So sometimes when you swipe, you don't see that the money is decreasing. But when you take it up with your hands, it becomes painful rather than you swiping or tapping or anything.
My sister's
so
friend
that's also
actually,
another method that you can implement.
My sister's friend
Yeah.
actually has like literal envelopes.
Yeah.
Like literal envelopes.
Yeah.
And she writes water.
Yeah.
And then she literally puts money in those envelopes. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
if
there's nothing you can
entertainment,
do.
if a dealer for the month, there's no more entertainment.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
puts
like-
2,000 for entertainment. If it's done, it's done.
That actually works.
So Nanyaka you wanna I don't wanna hurt myself by having to take out the money and having to spend it cash because you feel the pain as you live. But when you swipe,
you don't feel
And
You
some of
don't
us are
feel anything.
manifestors, guys. Now I want to see the zeros in my bank account. And I manifest the zeros in my bank. So if now kids very so it's messing me
And
up.
actually, just to assist like some of my friends, right? So, what's your thoughts on Abomashonisa? Because I have a question, a follow-up question based on that. Because now
I
we need
think
to also
Loan sharks,
accommodate, loan sharks, yes, loan sharks, to accommodate like a few people who actually are not making use of the financial system, the financial institutions.
Yeah.
Like Abomashonisa. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's very addictive. Like, I think once they go again. But it's not a good habit, of course. Like, it's not a good habit. But it all starts with you overspending. Now we go back to the basics. It starts with you overspending. Now you're stuck in the middle of the month because you were going with the flow. You know, so going with the flow leads you to mashonisa because you didn't do your budget properly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
my opinion on it. So yeah.
Because like I know there's people who actually live for Abomashonisa. There's
Ish.
salary. In fact, the
Yeah.
card is kept by
Oh my
Abomashonisa.
The
goodness.
ID.
Do they keep the IDs as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's basically they keep the card and then they decide what's gonna happen. Or in fact, they keep the ID, you keep your card, you just. In fact, they make use of the debit order system to actually withdraw your money.
Sure.
They
So
withdraw
you
your
find
money.
They do
yes,
it.
you find you have an overdraft, and then on top of this, give a mashonisa. I don't know, but then there's people who actually survive on that system where it's. I have to wait, pay mashonisa, and they also have having to survive through making more of our mashonisa, and the person would now even get to the point where the mental health is affected. They even get admitted to hospitals for such things. But then my question is that how do you actually help a person like that in your field? Do you actually get to assist that, and what methods are there in place to actually assist such people?
I think there's something called debt review and debt counseling. I have a friend who does it, so it's more in depth on terms of people having debts and how to manage it and how to reduce it. They go into a thing where they're gonna maybe debit a certain amount and allocate it to certain things because this person is not disciplined enough to pay for their expenses. So that thing will then, those people will then pay those expenses on behalf of that person. So I don't do that. I don't specialize in that, but what I would say is that, like, you know, when you're saying that, the first thing is that you're so comfortable to go to mashonisa. That's the first thing. Like, you've accepted, you've made that decision.
But how much they're like hating.
But why don't you go to the bank? I'll qualify.
Maybe you don't qualify, or maybe you don't know you can go to the bank. And let's not forget, guys, that a lot of South Africans don't have IDs. I know.
They don't have IDs.
No, a lot of guys.
Kanchan.
Why?
Because like people don't have IDs, guys.
South
Is it because
Africans-
mashonisa has them or what?
No. People like young people. But you could remember we
Why?
come from either like locations or.
But Abomashonisa, they're more prominent on the adults. Like they actually get to, because maybe the child is in varsity and the Mashonisa is there to assist. They want to maybe buy, you know, maybe the child is like that to find a laptop or there's a textbook, yeah, whatever. And then they want money from the parent who doesn't have money. Then the option is to go to Mashonisa. So the question is like, how do you now get to assist such people who actually would go to Abomashonisa to actually get help from them? Because now they would now get to actually dive into that, and then it becomes like a problem in the long term. Because I mean, like, there has to be like a solution for such things. So what interventions are there in place? That's what I was actually asking, because there's people who actually live like that.
But does it count as debt? Like in
Yeah, it
in
is
the
debt.
financial.
Yeah, it is debt.
Then don't you just pay it off? But like,
It's
are you asking
difficult
how
to
do you
pay it
pay it
off.
off?
How do you
But the
Get
interest
out
rate
of the
is
trap.
around like
Get out of
50%,
the trap,
like
yeah.
interest rate. The interest rates are insane. I say 10%.
50% or something like that. Like you owe Karima
It depends on how much
$100,
you're borrowing.
and then it comes back with
200.
200. Sometimes it's 100%, sometimes it's 150. It just depends. And trust me, they don't borrow just like 100
Also, it's
bucks.
not illegal.
It goes.
It is.
It is
illegal.
actually illegal. But then now, whatever, who's a mashonisa, owns you everything. Because then when you don't pay them, they come into your house, they take your TV, they take your couch, they take your whatever. Like it's that bad. And these people actually have people who actually do the jobs for them to actually torture other people, and it affects them mentally. And it doesn't just affect the person who borrowed the money, but it also affects the kids. I mean, like people
The
coming in to
trauma.
threaten to say, we're taking the TV now.
And they take it.
Where are they going to watch SpongeBob? What are they watching the kids now?
Generations,
Cocomelon.
guys.
Cocomelon.
Miss Rachel. It's
Where are they going to watch Cocomelon? You know? So, like, it's really tough. Really tough. People are going through the most, especially when
So
it
how
comes
do
to
you get out
financial.
of a situation like that?
It goes back to the planning. Try to pay those people off. Rather for that month you sacrifice let's just spinach or cabbage, for that month. Until you pay that person off, reduce the debt and pay it off, and then start saving. We need to have like emergency funds. If you don't have an emergency fund, that's the reason why you go to Mashonisa, that's the reason why you go to the bank. It's because there's no cushion that you can lie on or go back to in terms of your finances.
Is that what an emergency fund is? Like a
Yeah,
cushion,
I think,
like what you just said?
Yeah, it's basically it's something that you go to when your funds are out. An emergency, it just say itself, an emergency. Now you're stuck, there's an additional expense that was not in your plan, then you go back to it. So usually it will be 3 months to 6 months of your expenses. So let's say your rent is like 5,000, then you have to have 15 or 30,000 for your rental. So if you have a budget and you do your whole budget, maybe all your expenses are like 30K, then you need to save up towards 90K or more. Yeah. So that you can, but I'm hearing what you're saying. From what I'm getting is that black people especially, we lack a lot of knowledge about finances. We don't know. We don't do research. We don't try to educate ourselves about finances. We just live by today I'll do if I have 200, I feel like okay, ke tlo reka sephatlo sa 50 rand, but you don't think about the next 10 days. You know what I mean?
If we're being honest, let's be honest, right? That because of the past of our country, a lot of us, our generation, are the first quote unquote successful as an actual career, not even in terms of money or wealth, just in terms of money that can sustain you, right? But now you still have things like black tax and VAT 2%. We are living in a country where there's a lot going on financially. Petrol goes up and down like crazy. People are losing their jobs. Businesses are closing down. How do you save 90,000 when you can't even make it through the month? You can't make it through the month to begin with. So how do you save what you don't have? How do you start an emergency savings? What emergency fund when you can't even make it through the month?
So when I say 90,000, I don't expect you like next month only 90,000. It's another thing. I go back to the thing where you have to be patient with yourself. Even if you're gonna deduct 2,000 every month, you don't realize how much of a difference that will make towards your finances. Because if you're saving 2,000 per month, and you started in January until December, that is more like, how much is it? Okay, 24, right? It's 24,000. Previously you did not have it. If something happens, you can still tap into it, but next month they will replace whatever money that you used and then continue saving. So you also need to be patient when building that emergency fund. It takes time. You can give yourself 5 years to build your emergency fund. You're still young. You're 25. You know what I mean? And as you grow in your career, money increases. Now you're no longer budgeting for 30, budgeting for 35. So maybe you can start adding 3,000. But the smallest amount that you can save actually makes a huge difference. Because previously you didn't even have the 24,000 that you're having at that moment. So now when emergency comes, you don't go to Mashonisa, you don't go to FNB or ABSA or whatever. Now you go into tap into accessing your emergency fund. So when also building your emergency fund, maybe also have like one for where you can access it easier and one that you can't access easier.
Like 32-day notice.
Like a 32-day notice. And then there's other ones that you can access within 24 hours. So sometimes we get into situations where you need the money like now. So have 1 year, 500 thingana, you can access immediately, and then have one where it's like you don't access it, because once you access it, you might even eat the whole money. So
and we will eat the whole money. When you exit the 60K, yeah, it's raining. Also, I want to go back
I want
to
to say something before you finish. Also, it's important to have a financial planner. Those are the people that talk about emergency funds, about the life cover, all those things. So we need to be educated. Like, see someone from Liberty, from Old Mutual. Try and find a financial planner. Usually, their consultations, they don't charge you like for the first consultation. You just ask them advice, and they open your eyes towards what is there and what you need to do to protect yourself financially. So I would say get a financial planner as well.
So it's the literacy, I guess.
The literacy.
Yeah, because I'm actually now thinking, right? But I wanna
so we are
Okay.
clear on what you just said.
they once took away my girlfriend in the past,
I'm
right?
so sorry for laughing.
Yeah, they took my girlfriend. I want to tell you like what's maybe our problem. From what I'm getting from this conversation is that like a lot of us, mainly the black people, we don't have like a lot of financial literacy because this person got in an accident, right? They lost like one leg. Raf came in.
Who's this person? The person that took
Yeah, and then I feel like a million. My person left. I'm tired. But obviously, like with time, like
But
the
maybe
money
love
went.
was love. Why would you assume Kiraf? Maybe that's a
Let's be real.
coincidence.
Let's be real.
That's coincidence.
No,
No, it's the money.
It could have been a
it's the
coincidence.
man.
Hurry. They fell in love and then I realized, oh my god. Guys, things that do not think women are just after money. That's what I'm trying to, like the myth I'm trying to debunk.
Wait, listen to the story.
Maybe you're in lovely resilience here high to survive one leg.
Brazilian.
That's not toxic.
How would you laugh at
No. What I'm trying to emphasize also, like, it's this, like a lot of people get like a lot of money from RAF and then they blow it. Probably if ever we get like a more of the financial literacy, then we will be able to spend money wise. I mean, like how does it make sense that you finish 10 million or 20 million
even inheritance
in 3 months?
Even inheritance.
6 months,
your
like in a
parents'
year, it's
inheritance.
done.
But
It's
also,
done. Like it's
doesn't RAF
crazy.
give you financial? Are they allowed to give you money without making you sit down with the financial planner? I know Lotto forces you.
Well,
Lotto forces you like to sit with the financial planner. Do we listen to them? Of
you know,
course
from
not.
the show I blew it. The trend that I actually got to discover is that like all of them, it's the same pattern. It's maybe because of the lack of the financial literacy. All of them, umuntu will be like, the first thing I done, I withdrew 100K. I pocket 10. I took it. I pocket 10, and I was spending like every person. I was just giving money. Like everyone, like you greet me, I give you 200
I
rand.
love those
You understand?
people. Such
There is no cycle
Such
of
generosity.
like all of them. They're like I used to do like a lot of parties. I was the man. It was like I don't know, like the way the money gets
Does that
built
not
up.
come from low self-esteem though? Because now why are you giving money to people that you barely spoke to, like in life?
Well, I mean, the
so
whole
sad.
township now is your friend.
And now all of a sudden you wanna be Mr. Cool Guy. That's I think that's more of a self-esteem issue than a financial issue. Because if you are like grounded in yourself, Chalde how we are Santorini, we are Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 people, 3 people, your people. We are Greece and Santorini, and you go spoil your people. Because why? Because a lot of them, if you think about that show that shows people spending their money. How about when they blow parties? The trend is parties. They throw parties, alcohol. Their home becomes a shebeen overnight. And then what's crazy is, people don't have the shame of leaving you when you are broke because they disappear. All those people.
No.
gone.
I was very broke, Shem. Yeah, but in any case, like it was like just like history, like I was just sharing. But the main point around that was
Did
like
she leave after
the
the
lack
money
of. I don't know what happened to her. I don't know, but I know the guy is broke now. The money is gone. Like same thing, same pattern happens. So even most of these guys on that show now, I blew it. The moment they get the money, it gets finished over 2 years. There's nothing to show out of that because then they buy cars. I don't know, like a car is not something that you can invest in, you understand? So like it gets all perishes. And obviously, and all these people who actually get to get rough, you find that it was just somebody because and then that happened, and after some time it's a bulk of money. You were like, they just want to do all the great things. I mean, it comes with the lack of financial literacy, I guess.
It really does, because you don't know. But also remember, because we've never had that kind of money, you don't know what to do with that kind of money. Because a lot of us, we want to do all those things we've always wanted to do.
When you didn't have the money.
When you didn't have money, and you don't know anyone else that has ever had that kind of money.
Maybe they should introduce it also like in the high school or something like
so.
that,
It
as a
should be a
subject or
subject.
something like that. Yeah, to do
I
some
also
form of.
think that like being educated is very important, even if you are not like doing financial literacy. I feel like if they're giving money to somebody who just has like, not to offend anyone, but someone who has like metric only, and someone who's like a graduate, like who has a bachelor's or honors, I feel like the person with the honors would manage the money easier. Even if they blow it over 10 years, I feel like they would do a better job than someone who's not educated at all. I think education overall is very important. It teaches you how to critically think, to make decisions.
I think not in Johannesburg. Not in Johannesburg, guys. I'm sorry. I think you know what? I think someone that has someone that comes from a rich family that is educated, someone that is used to money will know how to think about certain professions, ne? Moto ena 40,000, otlo rega a X5.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20K. Is that, you know what I mean? Like,
So half of the salary goes
half of the
there.
salary car.
And there's no
because you want
maintenance
people-
there.
And remember with us, once you finish, you know why I want to just give you an alternative perspective is because I've seen it so often, and especially as black people, when you start working, everyone must know you are working. When you go home, you must come, and people must say, "Oh my gosh, you know, everyone must know that you're working." And I think it's even worse for men, because when you pull up anyway, you must look like man. You must look, and one to hold up 40,000. Now you're driving a BMW or you're driving a what? Now you wanna rent a penthouse. Go 17. Now that's another 16. Like, I honestly think, whether of a metric person or whether of an educated person, I think it's more about the person's belief systems and their own discipline.
Okay, I guess it's financial education.
Financial
not just
literacy.
education. Okay.
Because think about honestly Joburg.
Okay.
What happened?
I think even the desires people have, maybe due to the fact of that maybe in the past we struggled and stuff, and then you want to have and have. But I feel like now the solution also around the financial literacy or financial education is the key. Because then like all these people, the same thing, the only thing they know is the struggle. And then now the money is here. What do I do? I want to have the best car. I want to live in the best house. I want to be, people must know, you understand? So like you tend to just do all these things that you didn't get maybe as a child and stuff, but then maybe with having to have like maybe the background of financial literacy, I think it will make things better. And also maybe, as you said earlier, maybe people who, you said that, like, say, the people who are uneducated, maybe it's a problem because they don't know anything, you understand? And then for someone who has actually gotten some form of employment, who actually managed to at least get something, they know at least for how to actually this thing. But for someone who didn't even get like a salary at all in his life, and then get 20 million in the bank account, it's quite challenging.
And I really think we are a generation of we are microwave generation. What you were saying,
Instant
patience,
gratification.
instant gratification. We want things now. As soon as you start working, you want your dream car, dream house, dream this. Not thinking that this is just the beginning. You literally just took one step. Work, and then get to where you want to be, and get the things that you can actually afford, right? And speaking of that, how do we differentiate between a want and a need, particularly when you are tracking your expenses and budgeting?
Yeah.
Because I think like solo dates are a need.
A what?
A need.
Solo dates are a need.
I categorize them for myself as a need.
I
for my
think
mental health.
differ.
No, but
Solo, one, alone.
Why? It doesn't matter. Like, why the solo part? You know, you bother. I can
Maybe
say
let's just give her the thing she was answering before that. We'll come back to the solo.
No, but I'm just
So-
saying that it's something that I need for my mental health.
Yeah.
So it's a need for me.
Yeah.
But it might. So how do we differentiate?
Yeah. So a need is something that you cannot live without. For instance, water.
Oh.
You can't live without water. Like you need water to drink, to bath, everything. Your basic needs, basically. Okay, I'm saying the word needs again. But what I mean is that something that you cannot live without. A want is like a sweet. You can live without a sweet. You get what I mean? It's something that you can have, but it's not like something that you cannot live without. So you cannot live without food. That is a need. You cannot live without electricity. That is a need. So you have to like classify your things. These are the ones that I cannot live without. If I don't pay my shelter where I live, I won't have a place to stay, and that is a need. So needs are the things that you cannot live without. If those things are not there, like you cannot live without them. And then wants are the extra things that you could have, they make your life maybe easier or something like that. So yeah.
I also want to ask. I want to go back to the conversation that we had about debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there are people that help with debt, debt reviewing, debt
Counseling.
But a lot of the times, I don't know, maybe, I don't know if it's happened to you, but like if you are maybe applying for a new car or whatnot, they ask you, are you under debt review? And now, like, because the debt review people don't tell you, hey, listen, it might block some. So what actually, why do we get asked if you're under debt review? Is it because it is seen as you are struggling to manage your debt, so we don't want to give you another one? But why do people ask that question? Like companies that are trying to sell you something.
Yeah, it's because when you're under debt review, you're already in the bad side. So that's why they want to give credit to people who are under debt review. So you're already on the bed. You fail to manage your monthly expenses or monthly debts or whatever. So now you're under a review, like you're being watched like a baby or something. So they can't give you extra credits.
Then how do you encourage someone to go for debt review? Because honestly, there are people that are really, really under, like they're really drowning in their debts. But if it's going to be viewed, because when those people call you and you go, yes, they go, okay, thank you, ma'am, ding, then you start feeling like, oh, how can we change the narrative of debt review to be seen as a positive thing to go? I know these people usually help you actually plan your things, budget, what. How can we maybe turn the narrative to encourage people to go for debt review? Because some people really, really need it. They're really drowning. They're blacklisted.
Most of the times when you're in a bad situation, they do tell you don't have a choice. You have to go under debt review. So, but
Really?
if you
They
see,
force you to do it?
they do. There's people that work under a government or something. You don't even have to pay them.
How is looking at me as if like, hey.
No, I'm asking you, did you know this? No,
Did you see that?
No, I'm like, Ace, did you know this? I didn't know you get forced. I know they can offer the service. I don't know that sometimes you get forced.
Yeah, you don't have a choice. You have to go through debt review because now your situation is bad. So, but for the people that you see yourself, where you see yourself that this is almost a limit, like I'm going towards that direction, I would say that leave your pride aside and accept the reality of how things are and start to try to build a relationship with your finances. Have a relationship with your money. Even when you're not under like a bad situation or you're just a normal person, you need to have a relationship with your money. Try and have a good one, Say that, you know what, I'm going to keep my money in my bank account. I don't want it to decrease. Instead, it must increase. So have a good relationship with your money. Don't cringe and now be uncomfortable. We need to get to a point where we are fine, we're comfortable to face the reality that I only get R2 and that's my limit. How much am I spending on this and that? I need to manage this R2 and also be able to save. So have a good relationship with your money and accept your situation. So that's what I would say to the people that need to go under debt review. Just accept your situation and leave your pride and then just really go. Do your research also, because there's people who are scams who are trying to do debt review. Then they take your money and then next thing they'll tell you they're going to manage and pay all your debts. Next thing you're calling Sanlam or Sanlam is calling and saying, we didn't didn't get your installment this month, and when you gave those people your money, next thing they took
So
your
they
money.
played to be Sanlam.
No. Like, for instance, like they will say, okay, you're going through debt counseling, and then they'll say with Hore, okay, Ace, we're gonna take your salary and we'll pay all the debt because you're not able to pay for yourself. Then instead of them going to pay for your car, for everything, they take the money.
Oh, then
And
they
then
don't
you
pay
have debt with your
Sanlam
car.
and stuff.
Yes,
Oh, okay,
yes.
okay.
So
I
it's
didn't
important
get
to
that.
also do your research, like try to find resources. Also use institutions that have always been there for a long time. I'm not saying don't be open to new companies, but we'd rather go to Old Mutual, go to ABSA, go to FNB. If you want to go and save your money, don't go to Ace's new company that started 2 months ago.
Guys, support black businesses.
Yeah, so let's just be aware. Let's do our research and try to educate ourselves about finances. It's not nice, not easy, but I think there's no regrets that you can have from you reading an article about finances, about a new thing. What is, RA? Reading up on it. What is RA? How does it work? How do I benefit from it? What are the implications on it? So just read an article. You don't have to read a whole book, study guide, about finances. Read an article by, the Business Insider. Whatever that you can do, just do that. It's not that we don't have to make it that bad. I think that's the direction I take. Like, look at things, make it more fun, You don't have to be the strict, thing that you,
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, it is.
And speaking of RA, I'm assuming you mean retirement annuity.
Yes,
ne?
it is.
That's like long term, right? Like planning
Yes,
for your
yes.
future.
Yeah.
So I know with people that work under government,
Yes.
a portion of your money is taken and it's put away, right?
Pension,
And
yeah.
some people have UIF,
Yeah.
right? I think like private corporations.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, how can someone that doesn't have
UIF or
UIF,
or
which is basically pension, right?
Yeah. No, it's not. There's
Is it
a
not
huge difference. Unemployment insurance fund is an insurance that covers you when you're unemployed. So let's say you lose your job, then that's when you go. And the money is not even a lot. It's 2%, which is 1% from your employer, 1% from you as an employee. So it's not a lot of money. So if you're earning 40,000, you could end up getting 8,000, and that's not gonna pay like rents and stuff. So it's
8,000
just
like
per month.
hi, bro.
Yeah, you could. I'm just making an example for someone maybe who was earning 40,000 and then now they get unemployed and then now they go to UIF. It's not a pension fund. It's not a pension fund.
So
It's
when
an
do you get it?
unemployment- What
Do you get it when you resign, or you get it when you are dismissed? What happens? When do you get it?
So
What are the rules around it?
when you lose your job, so you could lose your job by resigning, but when you resign, it's you willingly saying I'm leaving my job.
So you
that
don't
one
get
is
it.
tricky. You do get it, but you have to substantiate more than a person who got retrenched or the contract ended or something like that. Let's say this person was working at a mine and then they finished building whatever. Then after a 36-month period, now the job is gone. But because the employer was paying UIF, that person can still go back and be like, can I get my money for the months that I've paid for? And then they would get a certain portion. It could not even be 12 months. It's just a little, it's a fund just for, I don't know how to explain
Like
it.
emergencies almost. Sounds like an
Yeah,
emergency
it's like
fund.
a insurance to cover for your unemployed period. So they're assuming that maybe you're gonna get another job or something like that. So when you resign, you have to substantiate more than someone. They need more documents. You have to motivate why did you leave your job, and now you want insurance, unemployment insurance. And then when you get retrenched, there's that option. You can easily get it, not easily, but like it's easier. And then when the contract ends and when you're pregnant, sometimes you can get it for that 3 months that you're pregnant for. And then what else?
If you die,
If you die,
does your family get it?
I think they do. They have to supply like your death certificate and stuff like that. But
'Cause
I'm
it
not
is your
so
money.
sure. Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah.
And what other options do we have, like as young people that are working, in terms of planning for the long haul?
Yeah, I think RA would be a great example, a retirement annuity. So, for instance, like me, I don't work for a certain company and they deduct a certain amount from my salary or my earnings, right? So I choose for myself that, okay, maybe I want to retire when I'm 55 or when I'm 60, and then I'm gonna say, okay, then I'll ask myself, how much do I think in 20 years or 30 years do I want to earn every month, because now I'm not working anymore. So then if I say, okay, maybe by then my car would be paid off, or I'll be having a car, a house or something, things will be paid off. Maybe as a pensioner, maybe 20,000 or 30,000, then they will then calculate, or okay, maybe that will amount to 5 million or 10 million or whatever. It depends on you as a person, or what type of lifestyle do you want to live later on. So let's say you want 10 million, then they will tell you and calculate for you, in order to have 10 million, you must save 5,000 per month. Then it becomes deducted every month. You pay that debit order to that institution, hopefully like an older institution that has been in existence, like a reputable one, so that tomorrow you don't wake up there it's a salon or something like that. So yeah. So that's how it happens. So then when you get to 55 or 60 years, now that 10 million, it's 10 million, like it is a lump sum. A third of it, they give you as a lump sum, and then the other 2/3, you get it as a salary. But there are tax implications, unfortunately. They tax you a lot, especially on the lump sum. But you get a tax benefit now when you are paying it. So let's say your salary is like 20K and then you're paying 5K, it's a tax deduction. It's a tax deduction.
Yes, investing your retirement annuity.
So you get to save also when you're working
and
now. You could possibly get a refund from SARS because it's a deduction, it's an allowable deduction. So that's how it works.
With that amount, usually people travel.
Yeah.
And why do you travel? Why do you travel when you put arthritis? Like, you must travel now. It's just travel now.
No,
do you know how many people are working there? How many young people are working and are already in debt? Guys, I can't even use the language that I'm thinking. Matter who busy out there. People habana chilled. And that's why we're having this conversation today, to go start small, you know. And let's talk about now people that are unemployed, right? How can they become financially savvy? Like Regisa Maguinya, or because I know there's people that have degrees and whatnot, but they are unfortunately unemployed because they live in South Africa, and they really, and then unemployment rate, I don't know if people are aware, is increasing. It's skyrocketing, right? So what can young people that are unemployed do in order to kind of change their financial circumstance in a way, because it does affect your mental health?
You know, as black people, we need to fight, to be quite honest. Like, we need to fight. We can't relax. Like, the other race, like, has it easier. They have backgrounds of, wealth and so forth. But we need to fight. Like, the first point that I would say is that have an idea, like a very unique idea, and then know how to monetize that idea. If your idea is blowing air for people because it's hot, figure out how do you package that and monetize it. Have an idea first of all, and then monetize it, and then try to see how can you now go about registering your company, having a bank account, learning about your finances. What are the implications that are there? How do I go about doing my tax returns? Do as much research as you can. As you said, knowledge is power. Do your research, like, be creative as you can. But with that idea, go with it and run with it. And it's not going to be easy. You're not going to first day and people are going to buy. No, it's not like that. You need to keep on. If you see how much I'm pushing on my digital market, I'm literally pushing like a hungry person. You need to be hungry. You can't be relaxed. You cannot be relaxed, especially as black people. We need to fight. There's a lot that is against us, So I can't say to someone who, okay, open a business and then, it ends there. No, you need to do things, do your research. How can I go about advertising my business? What is advertising? What is marketing? Do I need to do traditional? Do I need to do this? So I would say with whatever skill that you have, especially for people with degrees, if maybe let's say you did psychology and you only have a degree, you don't have a master's and you can't, maybe open like an IG page or a TikTok and tell people the concepts that you learned. There's so much in a degree, like only first year, second year, third year. How many subjects are there?
Definitely.
Go for the first intro subject. What did you learn from that? You learn so much. And there's so much that you can share to people and they can learn and grow from it. People don't know what awareness is, being aware, being present, all those things. They're your own way, over unique. I think you would testify to how my things are. Like I'm very unique. My things are purple. I literally became myself.
Literally.
So do you your own way. You don't have to copy people because the corporate world is like black and white. We are black and white. No, I wouldn't say that. But there's a lot to this question. I would literally break it down and say a whole lot. But I feel like that would take the whole day. But what I would say is that have an idea, be creative, like think about things like what makes you unique from other people, and then do it and go for it. But it's not gonna be easy, but like go for whatever that's there. So but I think it's easier for people, not easier, but my assumption is that people who have degrees are better than the people that don't have anything at all. If maybe you haven't done anything at all, try and get a skill. Go to salon, volunteer, and learn how to relax hair. Learn how to do whatever. Then in the meantime, maybe when you're not charging the full price, 150, when you're charging 70, until you polish your skill while you're saving your money and you can build something from that. So yeah, also financial literacy is important. While you're staying at home, don't just sit. There's a lot of websites where you can learn certain things and you're learning them for free. There's Udemy, there's other websites. Don't sit and feel paralyzed and say, "Ahona mi bereko." Do something. It's not easy, but try by all means. Hore. You find something and you do it and you run with it, and don't be relaxed. It's not easy. Don't be relaxed.
Yeah, and our foreigners also, the people from outside, like our foreigners outside South Africa, they do best when it comes to entrepreneurship. I don't know, they have the hunger. You can see someone will start their own what you call this, what do they call the ones that do the gates and stuff?
The welding,
yeah, they do it with passion, and you can see the hunger. They get to invest. When you ask the person, how did you start? No, I started by selling tomatoes. I have the skill, but I had to buy those machineries and stuff. They just I don't know, but then I think they do it better than us in terms of the hunger and having to implement.
And remember, they don't have the Abantu Wazotini syndrome. So I think that's why they're so open-minded to doing literally anything that could be like a stepping stone, because they're in Nike, but people know I have a degree, or people, even if you don't have a degree, but people know me as this and that, what will they think? And whatnot. And the other thing is, people are so scared of looking dumb. In the sense that people don't want to be students. You can't just start, say if you want to go into content, you're going to suck at it, and it's okay. You're really going to suck. Be comfortable with sucking, because as soon as you like do it more and more often, you become better, and then you become a master at it. But people are scared of the initial stage where you need to honestly look a little dumb. And
I think
it's okay.
Another thing that like people are fearful of is having to attend those skill development colleges, where they do the N courses and stuff. Like, I mean, like if ever there's no funds for you to go to varsity, try doing that in the meantime instead of
companies hire those people actually now, hey?
And they earn a lot of money.
No, we the UP, we thank you. Also, your CV looks great. Rebatla practicality. They've done it, you know what I mean?
And they earn more than people who have 8 degrees. Some of them.
They really they hire the people by colleges more than they do by universities, actually.
And I actually wanted to say also another thing that is very important is mindset.
The mindset, right?
Yes. If you have a positive mindset, trust me, if you believe in yourself, when are you going far? You can go far because you believe in yourself and you have a good perspective. So someone you see them, this person is passionate.
Passionate, yes.
That's why, like, you find people are full there more than the other person. It's because this person, they know, they have a positive perspective. Now, I'm doing this and I'm doing it well. You understand what I mean? So mindset is very important. Read books that can give you a positive perspective. You know, it doesn't have to be expensive things. Just go to the library, do something. Mindset is important. You can have
Mindset
masters
is
and doctorates and
everything.
everything. A practice, because when you don't believe for you, when you can have people that can come into your business. You know what I mean? So perspective and mindset is very important. Very, very important. It's everything. If you believe in yourself, you can go very far. So I understand also that Black people, we have a lot of traumas. Like we have them, and maybe they are restricting us from becoming the people that we are meant to be. But if you can just, watch a podcast that can change your mindset,
like this one.
makes that makes a huge.
I was gonna say hello.
There's influential, positive, influential people. If you can look at Mpumile Dwaba's life, it literally transformed, like Ramon, you know what I mean? She was reading the 5 a.m. Club. I remember the first book that I saw her reading, 5 a.m. Club. That book changes your perspective. So let's try and change, that Black mentality of struggling. Let us believe in ourselves and tell ourselves, I am opening a shop that sells this and that, and it makes millions. You have to believe in yourself to be that person that you want to become, or that you wish to become. Because next thing, you are sad, you're sitting at home, there's no jobs. But what can you do? You can read a book that can change your perspective. With an hour or 30 minutes, you can listen to a podcast, change your mindset, and think positively. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, after that, I don't think there's any more to say. I think today's episode has been so jam-packed with nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, I have.
Guys, if you're broke after this,
question.
and if you don't have an emergency fund, you know what? I don't know at this point.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We're going at 2 hours now.
Is it? Yo, then it means it's very interesting. This topic
we're
is
going at
very
like
nice.
2 hours.
I just wanna ask one more question. What systems does like a business need to have in place when it comes to tax? You understand? So like, what is it that maybe you could advise anyone who recently started like a business, maybe someone who has been operational and start to actually having to avoid getting into trouble with SARS? You understand? So what systems maybe and need to be there, and then what is the amount that you need to be making in the business for you to be eligible to be paying SARS and stuff, those type of things?
Sorry, can I just jump on that wagon there?
Yeah.
And people that are brands. Like artists, influencers, because I guess we all know about that lady that we all love. Where SARS is just taking her money now. Apparently, it's all apparent. That lady. Yes. So
Is it a musician?
yes.
Oh, okay.
So it clearly also goes to being a brand. Like when you're a brand, you clearly need to pay SARS. And
Are you speaking about the one that's there in social media?
Yeah,
like,
I could know. We don't know what allegedly.
No, but it's there on social media.
Yeah,
like, I mean, like it's.
Makazi,
Yeah. I was also
Is it
thinking about
Makazi?
her.
Yeah. Who are you thinking about?
No, I'm talking about the lady, the one who
Makazi.
Royal AM. Yes.
No,
we're talking about Makazi.
No, I'm talking about Makazi.
Makazi.
Yeah, because SARS like apparently
Makazi.
like when she gets money they take. Apparently, that's what she said.
Shame.
So that's what I'm saying. Businesses, but /brand
artist.
yes.
That lady is talented. She'll be able to recoup that. I think
but
so.
I could be still on your question.
Yes, but I'm just
But
saying.
we are rooting
Yeah.
for you.
Okay, so I don't think it's necessarily systems, but because even if you don't have systems, you don't have to start using like QuickBooks or whatever. You can literally use Excel and jot things down and record. But the basic thing is that you need to do your bookkeeping. You need to know how much is coming into the business throughout the whole month. You need to know how much expenses do you have, how much you spend on your rental, how much you spend on your telephone, when you buy airtime, all the time and all of that. So it's very important to know what is going on, what are the financial figures. And then from there, then you become tax. Because when they tax you in a business, they don't tax you on how much you receive. They tax you on the the net profit
Oh.
after expenses, the income less expenses, and then the net profit is the one that they charge. So I think all
Is
businesses
that profit? Like they charge you profit
net
basically?
profits, yeah.
Okay.
So I think every business and every artist and brand and whatever, influencers and stuff, they need to have an accountant. They need to have a professional that will look into their books, that will manage their books, and also advise them what to do and what not to do. I usually advise my clients on how they can go about to make smarter decisions so that they don't find themselves in situations where they're owing SARS too much money or something like that, or where they have a debt and stuff like that. So there are ways that you can try to minimize tax without you doing tax evasion or you being unlawful. So there is a smarter way of doing things, but unfortunately I cannot give those tips like here. So yeah, but just
They need
know,
to come to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to come to.
so also I want to say that when your accountant tells you that, let's say you get an accountant, right, you're running a business, it's a skincare product business. When your accountant gives you the report and says, okay, you made profit of 20,000, don't just say, oh, okay, I made profit of 20,000, that's it. Try to acquaintance yourself with what is going on in the reports. Ask your accountant, what is this? What is gross profit? Don't just allow them to, because sometimes they can rob you. Because
Really?
when you don't know the things, yeah. If let's say you tell that you have an accountant where, let's say you tell them to pay SARS, then they don't pay SARS, or they tell you they overstate the amount that you have to pay. They tell you have to pay 20,000 for payroll this month. When you give them 20,000 into their bank account and then they pay it, can't they, maybe they're only paying 15 for your payroll. So you need to be more like involved. Don't just sit and say, okay, she's handling that part, I'm not gonna try and learn about these things, because like you need to know if someone is gonna give you a figure and say for telephone you bought 15,000. But when you need to think, alright, 15,000 doesn't add up. Because
sound right.
yes, because I have a contract, yadi minutes go Vodacom that I pay 500. Why would I have extra, airtime that I'm buying? So you need to be involved. Don't just relax because you have an accountant. Try and learn and be involved and be like,
Maybe
hungry and
essentially
learn.
it's your
Because I
money.
sit down after doing financials, I do a Zoom most of the times with my clients. I do a Zoom and be like, okay, we're going through the document, page 1, literally the cover. This is your business name, this is your registration number, this is that, literally everything. If you don't understand something, we go back to it until you understand it. So it's very important that you learn what is going on in your business. What does it mean? So that when you don't find yourself in a situation where you own so much money, but you don't know what happened. You had an accountant. That's what you say. That's your excuse. You had an accountant, but you don't know what was happening in your business. So it's very important. Get to learn what is going on. Ask them, what is sales? What does it mean? What does it contain? Is this 100%? Because some people are VAT registered. We take out the VAT. We don't take out the portion yet, 15%. Understand, 15% VAT, what does it mean? How is it going to affect me? You understand what I mean? So be involved. Learn as much as you can. Don't just relax. That's what I would say to people. Yeah.
So when the relaxing part, what if my business Yamagwinya is doing well that I don't have time to do that? Like, I mean, you're gonna relax because you trust that person. Yeah?
Remember how much finances affect everything. So if something goes wrong there, Leo rent, Leo kids.
Yeah.
So you
then
need
it
to
becomes like
prioritize your
problem.
finances. You really,
that's
really need
true.
to. That 20 minutes that you spend saying I'm going through my bank statement is very crucial. Maybe people need to know how finances affect everything, like to what extent, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
It really is a
And
lot.
a lot of us have like a bank apps where we can access. So it's not like we need to actually go to the bank. It's just, we all of us, not all of us, most of us have cell phone banking.
Yeah.
Get your statement there, print it out, highlight.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
Have
And-
different colors. This one is for telephone, this one's for electricity, this one is for whatever. Consolidate them. Do a report. Try to understand what is going on. Research. income statement, go to Google while you're waiting for something at the doctor's reception or whatever. Google what is profit and loss. Find out. Let's do that as Black people, as this generation. Let's learn. You don't have to be an accountant, but you have to have an idea of what is going on, so that when your accountant says a term, but you're like, hey, that's trouble. We in trouble, most. Last month our gross profit was 50%. Now you're saying it's 30. Something is wrong. Should I get another supplier because now my supplier is being too expensive? They've increased prices. Now it's affecting your gross profit. So do that. Finances are very important to invest in and to look into.
Yeah.
Knowledge is key, guys. Let's get financially what is it?
Savvy.
Literate. And Lisa, where can people find you?
Okay, so people can find me on Instagram. My handle is Lisaha Accounting Services __ on Instagram. And I do have a TikTok account, but I'm not that active. It's also Lisaha Accounting Services. And yeah.
So if they want to consult with you, that's the channels that they can use.
Yeah, or they can call me on my number. Should I give out my number? No.
But if it's there on the socials.
You know what, guys?
Yeah.
Find her on the socials, and then you'll get her. Let's see her.
What are you trying to warn her about?
The one that you're trying to do. The guy. Okay. Guys, it's been so much fun. We've learned so much today, but I think there's still a whole lot more to learn. I think this was just literally the tip of the iceberg, because we still have burning questions, but we're just out of time. So thank you so much for joining us. I think, I have work to do. I need to go sit down with my money and really know what's going on. I think a lot of us are detached from our financial situations, and we're just going with the flow, unfortunately. So guys, let's get financially literate, go through start budgeting, track our expenses, just be one with our money. From myself, Ace and Lisa, let's go. Bye.
Bye.